Hi, in part 1 I gave a quick overview of the basics of setting up and using fluiddb.py. Let's continue by taking a look under the hood and see how fluiddb.py's call method actually works. The source code is actually hosted on GitHub, and in order to get a copy I need to copy this URL and issue a git clone command with it as an argument. So this is going to pull it back from the GitHub site, and I can now change directories into the project directory, and as you can see it's pretty standard stuff. Unit tester in test.py, there's a setup.py file, but what we're interested in is fluiddb.py. I hope the arguments are self-explanatory. Method refers to the HTTP verb to use, path to the path for the resource appended to FluidDB's domain name. Body is obviously the body of the request for use in the case of a post or a put. MIME is the MIME type associated with the body, and the keyword argument dictionary at the end is used to define query string arguments that are to be appended to the URL. So let's have a look at how the request is actually built. First of all, the URL and the headers are created. Secondly, we check if the body should be JSON encoded, if required, in the case of dicts and primitive types, and if so, the MIME type would have to be changed appropriately to reflect the potentially new encoding. Finally, a call is made to FluidDB, and the result is processed if we get some JSON back. Nice and simple, and please don't hesitate to submit patches or bug reports should you find anything smelly in the fluiddb.py code. So let's try doing something a bit more interesting. How about creating a new namespace? Well, how do I know what to do? The first thing you should do is go and visit the fluidinfo.com website, go to Developers, Documentation, and click on the FluidDB API specification link. You'll see the API in all its simplicity. It's interesting to note that the API documentation is generated from the source code for the web server's front end, so you can be confident that it reflects the actual implementation details. As you can see, to create a new namespace we need to post something. So let's return to the session I had open in the first episode of this screencast, and let's just do that. So I'm posting. The second argument is the resource, which refers to the parent namespace under which the new namespace will be created. The name of the new namespace is screencast, and its description is foo-bar-baz. The dictionary representation is of the fields specified in the API documentation. Notice how the response contains the URL for the new namespace and the ID for the object within FluidDB that represents the new namespace. Actually, I don't want the description of this new namespace to be foo-bar-baz, so let's update it with something more appropriate. So here I did a put to update. The resource obviously points to the new namespace, and I've updated the description. If I check the header, the 204 status tells us that the call was successful. But let's see for sure by retrieving the value from FluidDB itself. This is a good example of using Python keyword arguments to specify query string arguments to be appended to the URL. In this case, we've had the namespace's description returned. So if I check the header, we can see we've got a 200, and if I look at the content, we can see the description returned as I requested. It's interesting to note that in the header you can see how the keyword argument was appended to the URL that's referenced in the content location header. So now that we've got a namespace, let's define a tag underneath this and make use of it. So this is done in the same sort of a way. I'm posting to a particular resource which refers to the namespace. The description of the new tag indicates an episode number. It isn't indexed, and the name of the new tag is episode. Just as with the namespace, the URI of the new tag and the ID for the object representing the new tag are returned. So, to recap, we've looked at fluiddb.py's code, found the API documentation on the internet, and created and updated a namespace and added a tag to it. In the final part, we'll see how to create or find objects and annotate them with the tag that we've just created.